Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious Anonymous, and today I am joined by Yvonne Roberts. You may know her as First Prostitute from Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. Now I have to ask you, before you were in Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, had you heard about David Lynch at all?
I had seen his work. Actually, two of his films are two of my most favorite. I love Dune and I love Elephant Man. And I was familiar that he was doing Twin Peaks,
But you but
the
you
the
had
television.
but you hadn't watched the show.
I had watched the beginning of the show. At the time when I first saw it when it premiered, I was working with the telegram agency, and so I was really busy. I probably worked 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week. um, so I didn't have much television time, and when I had any downtime, I spent it with my family. I'm really not that much big of a TV watcher per se.
So how did you hear
I'm
about
usually on.
so how did you hear about the role in Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me?
David's company had called a casting agency, and the casting agency had called the company that I worked for, and they wanted a busty blonde. And so they my boss called my house and talked to my husband at the time, my late husband Steve, and he was all excited because he always thought in his mind, all guys, oh, my wife someday is going to be a star. I have no intentions of being one. It was kind of cute. It was kind of a little feather in his cap, and he was very excited. So by the time I got home, he said, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "A producer wants to talk to you. It's really great. It's for a movie." And I'm like, "Oh, what kind of what movie?" And he goes, "I go, what do they want me?" And I go, "What do they want me to play?" He says, "A prostitute." And I looked at him. I was like, "Oh, now come on, honey. I know we're tight for money." But I do have my limits.
So did you think that like a porno company had called you?
I thought I was being solicited by a porn company, yes. Because I was doing the telegrams, they call them stripping telegrams back then. And so I'd been on the road, for, all day doing those. And I get home and my husband's all excited and wants me to, be in a film. So I didn't quite know how to, handle that. So he says, no, 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 no. He says, oh, no, no, not even. He says, no, you need to go talk to these people now. They want to see you now. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like 110 in the shade that day. And also I could think about on my ride home was, oh, I cannot wait to hit an ice cold shower. And now I've got to go through rush hour traffic up in Seattle. We got like these different like suburbs and things and other cities very closely connected. So I had to go, through rush hour traffic, down 405 to Bellevue to the casting office, which was a good half hour away normally to meet with the casting agency. So I got my mail on the way to the car. I decided to go, okay, this is pressuring me since you're bugging me so much. And I put the mail in rush hour traffic, and we're at a standstill. I looked down, and it said that Twin Peaks had been canceled. See, I'm not thinking really that it's a movie. I'm thinking he's got it confused because he would do that. He's a guy. So I'm like, well, wait a minute, this is, and then I'm thinking, oh, wait a second here. Somebody is like really trying to pull one over on me here. What's going on? So it took me a while to really realize until I got there that it was the real deal. Yeah.
So you had
You're,
heard that the series had gotten canceled, but you didn't know this was for a movie that they were going to do.
yeah, I did not even, yeah, I had no idea really what it was for at that point.
So
Yeah.
between you going in for this audition versus the shooting of the scene, what was the time frame?
Mhm.
Was it a few weeks? Was it a month away? What was the time difference?
It was about 5 days that
Okay.
it took from the time that they contacted me to be on set. Yeah.
So when you went in for this audition, walk us through that. What did you have to do?
Um, at the casting office, they told me they wanted to meet with me at some point, and so I got a call to meet downtown Seattle at the Cabrini Towers, where they were filming the Philadelphia office, where they had David Bowie and all that. I love that. Was awesome, and that's where I had met David Lynch. Was there at the Cabrini Towers?
Oh, so they
along with some other.
So when you came in, they sent you straight to David Lynch to meet?
About 5 days later, yeah, they set up an appointment. In between that time, though, well, actually, wait a second. I'm kind of going back in time here. I think I know what it was. No, it was almost right away from the casting office, and I think maybe a day later. Yeah, because after I talked to the casting office, she said, "Oh, it's just for extra work. They're only going to pay you like $50." Well, I'm meeting with David on a Saturday night or a Saturday afternoon, but after I met with him, I was booked all the way through up into the evening with very tight schedule, and going from downtown Seattle all the way up to Bellingham, which is a good 3 hours away from Seattle. So it's a lot. I did a lot of driving, so.
So you met with David in Seattle where they were shooting the David Bowie scenes?
Yes.
Okay.
The Philadelphia office, I guess they would call that. Yeah.
Right. So did you go on set for that scene when they were shooting that?
No, but I went past kind of where they were filming. They had because they had kind of gone over the time that they said that they wanted to meet with me. So, I mean, a lot. It was like waiting in a doctor's office in a way. And I was getting kind of antsy because I had so many shows to do, and but I hung in there. And, eventually a few hours later, that is when for the first time, I met David Lynch.
And what was that encounter like?
That was very, very awesome. It was different. I wasn't quite sure what was going on really, even at that point, because they had lines. There were several people there waiting, or that were going for, the part of the prostitutes, and so they had us all lined up, and he came in and kind of looked at us all and talked to somebody, and then went you and you to somebody. But before that, what I always wanted to do, since I saw the opening credits of Twin Peaks, my father patrolled that area, the North Bend area. He was a King County Sheriff Sergeant. And we had a 150-acre ranch right close to where Nintendo sits now. Anyway, Mount Si, we were right in front of that big mountain. It's called Mount Si. It's iconically, what they call Twin Peaks is actually the mountain is Mount Si. And it's such a prominent mountain, it was like right smack dab, in front of our property. So it was very cool. And I thought, the score for the theme was so beautifully done and really, really captured the essence of the North Bend area, and of course this TV show as well. So I was really kind of blown away by that. So I showed him a picture of my dad and I'm on my dad's horse, and my dad's holding him, on a ranch, and then in the background you see Mount Si. So, that might have done the trick. I don't know. But it was pretty amazing. It was fun.
So it's really interesting to me to find out that he was shooting the David Bowie scenes before he even did some of the Chris Isaak scenes, because you would think that maybe he shot the Chris Isaak scenes maybe first and then moved into Laura's story, but it sounds like it was like a legitimate film production where each day was a different part of the film.
Yes, I believe so too, because I noticed that too. I didn't know after we filmed exactly, or even if I was even going to be in it, because a lot of people, you're going to end up on the cutting room floor. It's like everybody told I was in the movie. You'll end up on the cutting room floor. I'm like, thanks.
And yet you made it into the film when over 2.5 hours of the actual stars from Twin Peaks got cut out. So.
I know, and I didn't even realize that until I heard Jennifer's interview, your interview with Jennifer Lynch, and I was so blown away by that I was just blown away by the experience anyway, because that area and that whole scene, and what the content of David Lynch's project there with Twin Peaks is so akin to the stories my father would tell of that area. I mean, it really is quirky. There's a whole, I guess, subculture, you'd want to call it, that basically live out in the wooded areas there. That it's interesting.
Every time that I have visited,
and then you got your loggers.
Every time that I have visited the area, it's amazing because it seems like that David Lynch and Mark Frost took the concept of this show that would take place in this fictional town, Twin Peaks, and then married it with the actual culture of that town, so that almost the two become intertwined. So when you're up there, it's not just like, oh, they shot Twin Peaks there. It feels like you are in Twin Peaks.
You definitely feel it. I don't know who did the cartoon of the promo for, I think it was you. Did you guys do the cartoon where the promo for Showtime? Is that you?
No.
That did that?
No.
Okay. Because anyway, there's a house there that was on the ranch that we had. We actually leased that ranch. My father was leasing that ranch to hold all of our head of horses and cattle and stuff. And plus we lived there for a period of time as well. But there was a big house, big farmhouse there. It used to be a dairy farm, so it was a fairly large house to accommodate a large family. And so logging families, after the dairy part had closed down, would rent the house there. So my late husband and I had gone back after I'd done the filming for Twin Peaks, and I said, let's go out to our old farm. It's still there. My sister had been out there like a year or two before and got some pictures, but I kind of wanted to go back out there myself. And it was old, abandoned then, the house and everything. So when we walked into this house, it had like all the scrawl that's in this promo. They're like going to this guy to talk about, the new Twin Peaks type of thing. I don't know if you're familiar with this cartoon. I'm sure maybe some of your viewers will be. I'll try to find that thread and repost it.
Okay.
So you can see it. But the thing that blew me away about that is like everything that was the scrawl and weird stuff that was on the walls, and the whole, even where they placed this cartoon, I went, I know that house. I know where they got inspiration from that house, because it's crazy spooky. And actually somebody was there. We figured out, we went upstairs, and I'm showing, my daughter and my late husband, I'm like, yeah, well, this is where the barn, because the barn had burned down, this is where our barnyard was at, and our pastures, and yada yada. And Steve says, we need to get out. He kind of nudges me. He goes, we got to get out of here now. And I'm like, what? And he says, just go down the stairs, get Kristen, go down the stairs. I'm like, okay. So we go down the stairs and out the door, and he's walking at a pretty brisk rate, and I'm kind of lollygagging in memory, and he's kind of like grabbing me and pulling me. He's like, there's somebody in that house. And we got down the driveway and we looked back, and I had my video camera. I wish I still had that video. And because they panned in and did a tight shot of the window, and there was a guy staring at us out the window.
Wow.
But it was an abandoned house. He had been living there. So when we went up to the bathroom, there was toothbrushes, toothpaste, the whole 9 yards in this place. So I was like, oh, David or somebody had to have been in that house to make that cartoon. Or maybe they just pulled it out of the nethers.
So what time did you have to report on set that day you shot?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
What time did you have to report to the location when you shot?
Oh boy, I know. It was late. I want to say late morning. I can't really give you a definitive time.
Right. But you weren't there. You weren't there at 5 a.m.
No. But I was there probably about 8 at night. Yeah, around 8 or so at night. I think. The scene was filmed around maybe 6 or 7. So I was basically there from about, I would say, maybe 11 till 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
So,
wait.
All right. So explain to people who don't know how a movie set works. In the movie, it's only one shot. So why did it take 10 hours to shoot this one shot?
They were shooting The Lady in Red. And so I actually saw while they were filming that at the airport.
So they were shooting the Lil scene of her doing the dance and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
so yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
And then
was your scene
they
on the same property as that airport scene?
yes. Actually, the school bus scene is actually not on a road; it's on a runway, an airport runway.
Oh wow. So they just
Yeah.
basically moved the camera 20 feet and had another location already set up for that.
Yes. Let me grab a picture here to see. Actually, the picture. I don't know if you can see this or not. Where David Lynch and I
No,
are.
I'll show it in the
Okay.
podcast though.
Okay, if you look past him, there's a building there, and that's like in between that build to, but probably to the right of that building is another building, like an airport hangar, and that's where they did the Lil scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, until they completed that scene, you were just on set waiting for them to finish it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Basically, hanging out all day. They warned me that it was going to be a long process, and to bring something to that you could quietly occupy yourself with. So I brought one of my little fold-up lounge chairs and a good book and sat back and met a lot of really neat people. David Lynch's like crew and everybody that works with him are just really incredible people. I mean, each talented in their own way, and not just in front of the camera, but everybody behind the scenes. They were actually looked like they were having fun. Oh, they were having fun.
So when Lil does her little dance, was since you were watching it, were there variations of the dance being filmed, or what we saw in the finished film was just the same dance done take after take?
It seemed like it was the same dance take after take. I wasn't like present for the like complete filming of it, because I would usually like go back to my little lounge chair and read a chapter, or yeah, to get something to drink, or I might be talking with somebody. I think yeah, or who was I talking with? One of the other, I think maybe one of the other extras there. We were talking quite a bit. So.
And so, what was Chris Isaak like?
He's incredibly nice and funny. I didn't. That's another thing. I didn't even really know who he was either before I did this. I kind of got a clue he was somebody, because at the casting call, the girls were all like, I mean, that was the whole thing was Chris. That's what I mean, Chris Isaak, like Chris Isaak. Trying to think who this guy is. Because I thought Wicked Game was Roy Orbison's, because they just released that summer Roy Orbison's greatest hits from unreleased recordings, and I'm a big Roy Orbison fan, and so I just assumed when I heard it, oh, that's Roy. Beautiful song. I love the song, and I thought the video of it, I thought the guy in it was maybe like a Calvin Klein model or something, lip syncing the words. But lo and behold, it was Chris. I even said, I thought, oh, I thought Roy because I go, oh, what songs do you do? He says, oh, I do Wicked Game. I was like, oh, I thought that was Roy Orbison. And so, like, in between takes and stuff, he had to kind of be on our marks, so he would be behind me singing a little bit, singing songs.
And what was Kiefer like?
Very nice, very nice. Actually, I met both Chris and Kiefer together. One of the guys said, "Hey, they want to meet you," and I was like, "Oh, me and my friend." I said, "Well, yeah, shoot them on over and say hi," because we were told don't bother anybody, so we're not bothered. If somebody wants to talk to us, they're going to have to come to us.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, all right. So they get around to doing your scene. Let's talk about how they blocked you. Did David Lynch himself come in and say, "I want you to stand like this," or who blocked you in that position?
Oh yeah, he was very present there, and I would like to add also that throughout the time that I was there, David would come up and talk with me quite a bit. Just because I didn't really know who he was. I don't think I had like coming in that almost. I know David doesn't ever mean to, or anybody, but you know, if somebody has a certain star power, a lot of times when their subordinates get in front of them, they get a little nervous. But to me, you know, with my line of work, I had to be accustomed to going into sometimes, you know, situations where a normal person would be very uncomfortable. So for me to adjust to that was like no problem. And you know, you start looking at them more like you know, just which they are a regular person. And as an artist myself, see, I'm also an artist. And so I can understand the creative process, and I appreciate the creative process, and was just absolutely bowled over, flattered that, you know, he thought, you know, that I should be part of his work, which is kind of cool. So, you know, we talked a little bit about, I just started meditating at that time. So actually about 3 or 4 weeks before that, and found out that, you know, he was also a meditator. So I asked him how long he had been meditating. We chatted a little bit about that. But he encouraged me to proceed forward with it. So for that, I owe him an indebted gratitude because it really did inspire me to keep up the process. Because I could see what he was doing. I could see what the reward from it. And the way he was, his whole presence. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to meet him. But wow, he's just a really super nice, regular guy that happens to be quite witty and very knowledgeable about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people will say when he goes in to interview actors or actresses for the roles, he won't even talk to them about the movie. He'll talk to them about, you know, acorns and things like that, just any random things.
Yeah. To me, it was just I really wasn't even really that curious about, you know, my part. It's just like, did I have everything here that you wanted me to get? You know, that was my thing, because they wanted us to get the outfit. They wanted me to look like a North Dakota prostitute, so I had to call up my brother-in-law from North Dakota. I said to my sister, I said, "Hey, put Ron on the line," and she says, "What?" I go, "I need to ask him a question," and she says, "Okay." I said, "Ron." I go, "What does a North Dakota prostitute look like?" And he said, "Well, it depends on you know, is it summer or winter? In the winter they look cold, in the summer they look hot." So yeah, that was kind of.
So did
funny.
you have to bring did you have to bring your own clothes?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I had to bring my own clothes, which I have. I lost my top. Go figure, a dancer, right? But just throughout the years, but I still fit. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the skirt I wore.
Now, did you go?
And these boots are similar to the ones that I wore.
Now, did you go shopping for these clothes, or were these already in your closet?
I went shopping for them, but I'm a thrift store junkie, so that really wasn't that hard. It was fun just to pick everything out.
So, did you bring options to the set, or did you just show up in one outfit? No.
Yeah, I brought options, and they picked from what I had selected.
Okay, so you got your wardrobe. They put you through makeup, right? Or did they make you do your own makeup as well?
No, yeah, I got to sit in the same chair that I believe, or no, I got the same brush that David Bowie got used on his hair.
and how long?
Made my scalp.
And how long was that makeup that they did? Was it like a quick thing, or did it take you a while to get you all gussied up like that?
I pretty much had I could figure out I pretty much had like my foundation and stuff. They were just making sure the shine and stuff wasn't there. They did the hair, you know, specifically. It was a good 20 minutes, I believe, in the chair. Yeah.
So I'm assuming these trailers are parked on the airport strip.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, well, close to it. They're by the hangars.
Oh, okay.
On the other side of the hangars. Yeah.
And then,
the airport. It was at that time. I don't think it was a working airport when we were there. But interestingly enough, my father was also a licensed pilot for King County too, and he flew in and out of that airport. That's what I mean, like the synchronicity of the whole thing of getting the part and my roots to North Bend, you know, and the way that this thing, you know, came into my universe kind of blows me away.
Right.
there's more to that too. As we go along, I'll talk a little bit more about that as well.
All right. And then, so you come out, you're in wardrobe, you got your makeup on. Who takes you to the place where you're going to stand for Chris Isaac to arrest you?
You know, I'm assuming I've got a picture here of this guy, and I'm thinking it might be Mark Frost, but I really wasn't introduced.
No. Well, Mark Frost wasn't on set for the movie.
Wasn't it? Okay, okay, never mind. It wasn't him. It kind of looks like him though. That's why I'm looking at this picture. I'm wondering if that's him. Anyway, this gentleman would come and tell us kind of kind of give us an idea of time, and you're going here, you're going there. He was the one that came and brought us. I for the life of me cannot remember his name.
So you get there, you're staying there. Now does David Lynch come on to the set and say, I want you to be here and you to be in this other person over here? Or did you try it different ways, or how did it get to be? Walk us through the process of you getting there to what we finally see on camera.
Well, we walked across the field to the airstrip from the hangars. There's, I don't know, it's a good couple football fields or more to where the school bus was parked, kind of on the side of the runway. And then they had the kids. Oh, it was so cute, the kids that were in the bus. Oh my gosh. He drew from the locals here, so it was awesome. They had these little kids. I don't know how they got them all on that bus to sit there for that long.
Is that why they were? Is that why they were screaming? Because they were trapped there for hours and hours.
I think they were screaming to get out. It was hot that day. I'm telling you, we were sweating bullets. I felt sorry for Chris because I felt sorry for Lil, the gal that played Lil, because she's in a wool suit or wool dress, sweating bullets. Oh my gosh. When we were eating at lunch, I felt so sorry for her. She just had beads of sweat just dripping off of her.
Was she a local actress too?
I don't know. I didn't really speak that much to her because she was really into what she was doing. So I just, if they didn't talk to me, I didn't really engage anybody,
right.
and because I knew that that was their job and not, so I was just going to wait my turn.
So,
but
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you are in the finished film, you're in one position and you're being arrested. Was that the way it was always staged, or was it tried different ways?
That was the first take, and then the second take was actually where David Lynch gave me a line. It wasn't used. I was paid for it. I don't know if you saw my paycheck stub. I posted it on Facebook. I covered up I call it my mark of the beast, my social security number, so everybody else could, see because it says a word on it, and it was word. It was because I said so. He gave me a line, which is one I was really familiar with being a mom. That was like a slam dunk for me.
What was the line again?
Because I said so.
Now, did Chris Isaac say something to you for you to say that in response, or?
Nope, this is just something that I just, that he wanted me to, it was done in a very kind of an aggressive manner because he came up to me and he's looking at me and he's like, why are you smiling? And I'm like, oh, because I'm shiny, It was a beautiful day. It was just gorgeous. I mean, you couldn't have, had a better day except for the heat. That was the only downside. But he's looking at me and goes, I want you to speak. And I'm such a smart ass. I'm like, woof. And he goes, no, I want you to say, because I told you so. I'm like, okay. I go, how would you like me to say that? He goes, really, like you're angry, like you're mad. And I'm like, okay. I like to bounce off, because I would have to do this when I did telegrams, because people would, kind of set up scenes and situations where I'd have to go in and play a particular part, from delivering pizza, singing telegram, police arrest, or drunken motorist, you name it, So I was kind of used to kind of cold acting everything, and one of the things I do, like if somebody wants me to be, I like to bounce it off, like, you know, play it off them first, you know, like, okay, like psycho bitch from hell, like, ah, you know.
So give us.
He's like, yeah, I like that.
So give us an example. How did you say it?
Because I said so.
So
Like, Bob.
so the scene was just going to be him arresting you and you just saying because I said so.
Yeah.
Now, in your mind, playing this character, why were you being arrested outside of a school bus? Were you on the school bus? Were you?
I didn't judge.
Were you prostituting yourself to little kids on a school bus?
I know, that's what I was wondering. I was like, oh my God, what is it? Was I doing the bus or what, you know? And, you know, because the bus driver's getting arrested too. You know, they've got him, you know, spread eagle on the side of the bus.
Right.
And I at one point had an idea. It's just like, you know, hey, you know, if I'm connected with the scene at all, like if the guy's lost his wallet, you know, why don't you, like, I'll have to give it to you because you've arrested me and I got his wallet. I thought that would have been kind of cool.
Well, considering the themes that the rest of the film goes into, I wouldn't be surprised if your character had some sort of ties to the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, school teacher moonlighting. I don't know at the.
So okay, so I know you had to wait for the Lil scene, but by the time it got to you doing your scene, how long were you there shooting your scene? Were you there for a short time, or did it take hours and hours too?
Boy, I'll tell you, time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. I would guess roughly about an hour, maybe hour and a half or so. It seemed.
And then after you were done, it was thank you very much, Yvonne. Have a great day. We'll call you if we need you again. Goodbye.
No, it actually it was just like if I were to go to a party. To me, it was like a big picnic, but a creative picnic, because to me as an artist, I got to sit back and watch everybody do their thing, the makeup artists, the grips, everybody running around and doing what they do to put this together. And I was just so absorbed in the creative process of it all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it was like a party for me. So like when we left, it was just like, bye, you know, see you later. I cannot wait for this to come out, you know, and to see the finished product, you know, and good luck. I was wishing everybody luck, you know, that's involved, and yeah, it was just a really happy atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true of all the scenes and all the days that everybody has their good days, their bad days. That happened, I guess, to be a really good day.
So I know you had a few other things you wanted to say about the shooting of this and your experience. Obviously, my questions did not lead to those. So what were you going to talk about?
Oh boy. I feel blank as a fart right now. Let me think. I love that line if I ever get it. I got a lot of really good lines out of there. I like them. Oh, geez, let me think. Just the coincidences of this whole thing and how it came about. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to give some hope for people. You know, in my opinion, you know, being an actor and honing your craft, that's all well, that's beautiful, that's awesome, and but you know, sometimes people just happen upon things, and you might not even plan on being in anything like that, or even have any motivation to do so. I just happened to be drawn into it, and in kind of a really obscure way. So I when I first saw the opening credits of the TV series, and I heard the music, I was crocheting at the time. That's how I would like wind down from all the work that I would do if I had downtime sometimes, just because it's a meditative process. And I heard the music, and I looked up, and I was like, and I saw Mount Si, and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. And my late husband Stevie says, oh yeah, he goes, they filmed that out in North Bend. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have known about that. I would have gone for like Waterboy or something just to, get out from what I was doing. Anything that would get out from under what I was doing was a vacation for me. Because I was on the road all the time, doing the telegrams and stuff. It's hard work. A lot of people think that dancers are, that it's an easy job. It isn't. It's just like any other, like acting. And to me, that's what it was acting. So it was. I just wanted to let people know, though, that if you have an intention for something, and that, I threw an intention out there with a heart behind it, because I kind of a selfish reason I wanted to go back out to that area, because I have a lot of close ties with my dad there. My dad passed away in my arms when I was a little girl there. So, when I see the scene of that road there, that was the last road my father and I traveled down together. So, that's kind of where I was coming from, wanting to, and plus, being part of something like that, it's kind of cool,
Right. So,
not really in front of the screen, but behind it's okay too.
So did you rush out that first day when it came out to see it in the movie theater, or how did you finally see the movie?
I did, and I was very excited, especially after I bought this magazine that came out. It's called Film Threat.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, and I got that issue, so I was really excited by that point. And plus, they had a lot of pictures where David Lynch is standing on the railroad tracks, and there was like, our driveway was like maybe about 10 yards away from where he was standing. So I like, wow, it's a sign. But see, that's the way it is, like in his world, because he dives so deep into meditation, that in that creative process, you draw in things. I do believe that, through his creative process and a little bit of my throwing an intention out there, just kind of, it was kind of a match. And so that's where he and I had met, was kind of through that. That's the way I view it anyway. And I'm very much behind his team too. Wonderful being for doing that. But, oh gosh, where was I going with this? I'm sorry, I digress.
What did you think? What did you think of the movie when you first saw it?
Oh, when it came out. Okay. What happened? We got stuck in traffic, because Seattle's got a lot of traffic in this area, and so we missed the first probably 5 minutes. I would have missed the first 5 minutes, and I went up and we were paying for the ticket, and I says to the guy, I says, oh, I go, I'm in this movie. And he goes, you are? And I go, yeah. And he goes, oh. And then he's looking at me, and he goes, you might want to come back for the another showing. And I was just like, oh man, I'm kind of pinched for time. Where else is this playing at? And he says, up in Everett. I had like nanoseconds to get up there. So we rushed up to Everett into the theater. And I'm so glad I did, because I had no idea even if I was going to be in the movie. I had no clue about that. So that was kind of exciting. And second, where am I going to be? What am I? Who am I? I was very excited. Yeah.
So when you saw when you saw yourself on the big screen, did you scream?
I did, because my late husband poked me. He gave me an elbow. And I was like, ah! I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, no, I just sat there and I drew in a deep breath and just sat there and just wow. I'd never seen myself so large. And everything, just the whole thing was just beautiful.
So was that what your hair looked like at the time?
Yes, I'm not really a blonde. But I was when I danced. Mm-hmm. And because blondes, you get more bookings that way. So yeah, that was my hair back then.
And what did you think of the movie when you saw it? Because it's a fairly dark piece of work.
Yes, it is. And what I really liked the most about the movie is it makes you think. It's not like spoon feeding you a plot. He actually engages the viewer into being present. Because you have to be present for his films, because there's so many components to him that make up the content of what he's trying to present.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I had never really seen. It was weird being that like in it and then part of it, and it did at times. It made my hair stand on end. Oh, the house that they filmed for the Palmer's house, I believe, is the same house of my best friend in high school up in Everett. I went to Mariner High School up in Everett, and there was a gal there, Shelley Lucchini, and we were friends, and that's their house. That's their house.
So you knew
apparently that.
You knew what Donna felt like when she walked into the steps and was knocking on the door, and so that had been you before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what really struck me is when I realized it was when Laura's running with the painting when her dad comes home, and she's got the painting and she runs into the yard, and she's hiding from her dad. And then, that's when I knew. I was like, oh my God, that's their house. And it just made the hair on my back of my neck stand up. I was like, I got chilled, literally got chilled right there in my seat.
Right.
And that made me go, wow. What, it's just like a coincidence, or not really. David would even tell you that's not true. It's not a coincidence. All those things are there meant to happen. So.
How many times have you seen the film, considering that you have the poster behind you?
Oh, probably about a bazillion or more. Oh, that poster, that came to me from my husband worked with some guys that had just gotten out of the theater business, and when they found out that I was in Twin Peaks, they gave me that for a Christmas present.
That's very cool.
And yeah, Chris actually signed this one here. I'd gotten two. Mm-hmm. Because this one had some little few tears in it and on the corners and stuff, but I don't care. I like stuff like that. And so I took that to Chris to have him sign it when I saw him appear at the Backstage in Ballard back, I believe, in '93. He had me come up on stage and dance with him.
So he totally remembered you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he remembers me so well that, it's kind of fun to like when I took my guy I'm with now, they took him to his concert, it's like, he got to meet, Chris, and confirmed, yes, I'm really an actress. No.
So he still, so you just recently went to see a Chris Isaak concert, and he still remembered you.
Yeah, this was like back in 2012. I saw him last year. He appeared out here in the Grays Harbor area. And I went to see him, but it was so cold, freezing cold, that I didn't have time to play Backdoor Johnny or backstage. What do they call it? Isn't that what they call the guys that used to wait for the girls at the? Or we call them backstage. There's an old phrase for that. You might be familiar with it, with being in the business. I want to say backstage or backdoor Johnny. They called him. Somebody that waits for a star. Or I would have waited all day if the weather had been better, but hey, whatever.
Now, one of the things that you liked about my interview that I did with Jennifer Lynch was that she touched upon how Fire Walk With Me is in her view, a very important film for children that have dealt with incest and those types of unfortunate situations. I know you wanted to say something about that. Yes, I did.
And it's I'm glad that she pointed that out, because, to me, after seeing it and being in decades in a business with women that have been abused by fathers, brothers, uncles, and you name it. I mean, I've heard stories that would turn your stomach, and to have somebody out there that is such a talented filmmaker and an obviously very kind-hearted being that will be an advocate and a voice for to this issue.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in that respect, I think Fire Walk with Me was very much ahead of its time. I don't think that people in 1992 were ready to go to the multiplex and see this kind of story just kind of in their face, you know?
No, they weren't. And even people in my realm would say, "Well, I know you were in the movie, but I didn't get it." People, they're like I said, they're so spoon fed when they go to the film or go to watch a film. Sometimes they mm, they can't really process that, or there's so much cognitive dissonance from it, or maybe it's touching so close to them they can't, accept that. I'm sure that would probably be a pretty hard film for a lot of people that have had to go through that to watch.
Have you seen? Go ahead.
And that makes it, but that's what actually makes it great and really makes it authentic, really, in a lot of ways.
Have you seen the new Blu-ray that's out with the all the deleted scenes?
I have not. I am so low tech and so out of the loop sometimes. I do plan on definitely viewing or getting it. I want to get the whole thing, the whole enchilada, and sit down sometime and just watch it. Just take it. I don't know how long do you think it would take me to watch the whole thing. A day or two, or a day?
Let's see. It's 30. I think it's about just under 35 hours. So a day and some change.
Yeah, that'd work. Yeah, make it an all-nighter. But yeah, just to watch the whole thing. I'd like to see the whole thing, just all just go boom, 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 just like
right.
Just to get the whole surround.
Now, what's interesting is you say you're low tech, and yet I've interviewed many celebrities, and most celebrities don't even have Skype, so you're ahead of them. So
I barely have Skype. When my internet connection cut out, it's very spotty out here. This is actually quite lucky that we're even speaking right now. I think you're probably maybe the third person I've talked with on Skype that's actually hung in there.
Can you tell us a little bit about that skull behind you on the wall?
That's a horse skull. That's Mr. Ed. I found him on a walk. I would never walk in the woods alone. My man kid, come over here, kid, make an appearance. I was teasing him. I said, you gotta come sneak up behind me because he kind of looks like Bob a little bit. I think we found the new Bob.
Well, you must be excited that Twin Peaks is coming back.
Absolutely, here he is. Can you
Hello.
See him?
Hello.
This is Ken. This is Ken, the tree guy.
It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I enjoy. I just happened to find this. It's a pretty good sized horse too. I don't know if you can see the size there, but it looked like it was probably a draft horse.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be a pretty good sized horse. And the artwork there, that's mine. I'm an artist and a sculptor.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, the mermaid. Ooh.
Well, if Mr. Lynch comes back to the area to film the third season of Twin Peaks, you got to get in on that.
I would love to. And if he happens to see this, I'm ready for my close-up. I know. I would love to work with him on any part of it. I'll tell you, we live on 5 acres of property out here on the coast of Washington and near ocean shores. So we're like right on the coast, in the shadow of the Olympic rainforest. And my partner here, Ken, he's a arborist. He's a tree guy. Now, this is very interesting. I have to bring this up because maybe David can answer this. When Ken was working back when they were filming Twin Peaks, I hadn't even met him yet, Ken. And where were you? You were in
right around Cle Elum.
Around Cle Elum, there was a guy. Ken was up in a tree. I don't know if you're familiar with what an arborist does, but they're tree climbers and they trim off all the tree branches and things, and they trim out the trees. Well, he's up in a tree, and this guy pulls over in a car, and he says, "Can I buy some of the wood from you?" And they're like branches and limbs and stuff, and he's just like, because where it's for a movie, or no, what'd you say no, he said some director's name. Ken, he knows less about movies than I know about sports or things, like or not movies, but like television and popular culture and stuff. We're kind of recluses in that way, in a little bit, sort of. But anyway, Ken says, "Go ahead, take it." So, well, they were taking, a couple of limbs in the logs, and they kept trying to pay him for it. He's just like, "Take it." Ken wouldn't take the money for it. He goes, "Oh no, this is a producer. Do you know so and so?" But Ken couldn't remember who it was, but he's almost certain after meeting me that it was probably David Lynch. So that's something. Yeah, for maybe the log lady's log, is actually came from Ken. And and
because they said the director really likes wood.
Yeah, because Ken said the director, because they told him the director really likes wood. He's like crazy about wood. Well,
there's only one director that's crazy about wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So but if he ever needs like any scouting or anything like that for anything, I mean, he can come film here at our place. We've got woods.
Well, maybe he can build the new version of One-Eyed Jacks on your property.
That'd be awesome. Hey, we're game. We're ready.
So,
It'd be fun. An endless supply of limbs and logs and wood chippers. The other day, Ken's one of his ground guy was here. He was chipping some limbs on our property for us, and I heard the chipper ram up, and then I heard it kind of, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope Matt didn't go through the chipper. And Ken says, and I go, David Lynch would love that. And it came out of my mouth before I could even correct what I was saying. Not that they would like to see Matt literally go through the chipper, but the idea of something like going through a wood chipper, a body, that seemed, I thought of David Lynch right away.
Now, you mentioned the word album earlier. Are you also a musician?
Oh, album. Oh, on Facebook?
Yeah. Oh, maybe you were talking about the Facebook album.
Oh, maybe like photo albums. No, I'm not really a musician per se. I do a lot of singing in the shower a lot. I've been told I sound pretty decent.
Now, I know you wanted to let my viewers know about a particular cause that you're behind. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, just raising awareness about child abuse and, being there for children and just, getting a handle on it. Not to trounce on anybody's, but not doing it under the guise of, coming in and trouncing on parental rights. But, just letting kids know that they do have advocates and there are voices out there for them if they, want to seek it. And also for David Lynch, I'd like to plug TM because, he's very big in that movement and he's done absolutely fabulous work with the David Lynch Foundation. DavidLynchFoundation.org, I believe, is the address of his website. And his video page where highlights all the work that he's doing, I think that really is very underscored, or basically, not really brought up when we talk about David Lynch a lot, that right. What a wonderful, I mean, he's like, it's almost like he's got like two separate things that he's really huge in, and he's using, I believe, he uses the filming to maybe, help get the TM out there so we can get some peace on this planet, and anybody that's for peace on this planet, man, I'm telling you, I'm behind them. Yeah. And especially with meditation, because it's such an integral part of, of getting in touch with who we are as beings and to be able to relate better with one another. And not to mention the awesome creativity that you can tap into. It really is, to me, is a source of where all my work springs from, is because when I go in, I can like bring up what is in, I can, pull it up, and articulate it more to the physical world. So.
Well, Yvonne, thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
I really, really enjoyed it, with all the stops and stutters and that we had at the beginning.
Yeah.
I really hope that someday we get a chance to do it, and I wish you the best of success and your gang too with all of your efforts and your creative processes. And I love art and film. Anything that has to do with creative process, I'm like just absolutely fascinated with, whether it be film or clay but particularly this, because it's just so fun. It's something everybody goes to the movies.
Exactly. Well, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.